Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for refusing to hide my engagement and uninviting my dad to my wedding? I, 33 female, just got engaged to my boyfriend, now fiance 33 male of 4 years. My stepsister, 35 female, stepmother's daughter, is on the slower side mentally. But I don't know exactly what her diagnosis is because the stepmother, my dad's wife, is in denial about it all while cuddling her at the same time. My stepsister is not dangerous, but she can behave awkwardly and inappropriately and just makes people uncomfortable. She always had a crush on my boyfriend, now fiancé, and has gotten angry whenever we acted like a normal couple. She cries and throws tantrums for hours upon hours over it. So we have been low contact with my father as a result. I called my dad to let him know we got engaged, and he is wanting me to hide it for a while. To not tell anyone at the 4th of July party we were supposed to go to this weekend, to not put it on social media, and to come to the party without my ring until my stepsister can get used to it, after my dad gently breaks it to her. And he said not to act too close with him at the party. Mind you, we've never done inappropriate PDAs. We just acted like a normal couple. I asked him how long he expected us to keep up this charade for, and he said in a very annoyed tone, "I don't know, just give us time to break it to her." And I told him under these conditions that we would be declining the invitation to the party and all other family events until we're allowed to act like a normal couple. And I absolutely will not hide it on my social media. I will put it up just as any other newly engaged couple and let the chips fall where they may. And I said if he's not going to be 100% supportive of my engagement and marriage, then he does not need to come to my wedding. That I'm not going to disrespect my fiancé by acting ashamed of him in public. And I told him in order for us to resume contact, he needs to be publicly supportive of my relationship, not just secretly or under the radar. My stepmother picked up the other line and joined us on the phone. She said I'm being selfish. That I know how hard my stepsister has it, that she'll never have what I do, and I should be understanding and considerate. And my dad basically agreed with her. Although it's none of my business, my stepmom clearly wears the pants in the relationship, so to speak, and my dad will always acquiesce to her. I told them that since they're ashamed of us, that they will never have to worry about justifying our existence to anyone ever again. Because we will not be coming around, and they will not be invited to my wedding, unless they have an attitude makeover. Let me act like any other normal couple, and are 100% supportive of my upcoming marriage, and hung up. My dad's side of the family says I'm being insensitive, that my stepsister hasn't really had and will never have what I have, and I need to be gentle with her. I told them if they want to handle her with kid gloves, that's their prerogative, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to live my life, and they have absolutely no right to tell me what I can and can't put on my social media. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP. Your father and his wife are a-holes. Did your dad even take a minute to congratulate you and be happy for you? They absolutely deserve to be uninvited from the wedding if their reaction to you getting married is this. Why should you have to essentially hide your happiness so your stepsister won't throw a tantrum? She's not a child, and your stepmom should realize this and get her some help and treatment that she needs, instead of indulging her and treating her like a toddler. Don't listen to anyone who says you're in the wrong here, OP. You're not. Enjoy your upcoming wedding, and don't be shy to tell the world all about it. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole at all. So she's in denial about her clear mental instability and won't treat her or even acknowledge it, but expects you to change your life and your excitement so they don't have to deal with the consequences of not getting her help. Bullshit. Great choice overall. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They are being unfair to you and your stepsister. Everything about their behavior is disgusting. If her issues are so severe, you have to act like your partner is a stranger to prevent hours-long tantrums. She needs serious intervention. She's 35, not 5, for F's sake. You're doing the right thing. If you invite them to your wedding, it will become the placate stepsister show, and you don't need any of that. Not the a-hole. That isn't your problem with how your parents raised her. You're 100% valid to enjoy and celebrate something that literally anybody would do. Do not put your life on hold for them, and that is some heavy gaslighting to make you feel bad due to circumstances that are far beyond your control with her mental development. Good for you, and keep those boundaries. Like, what are you supposed to do? Just fake not being engaged? Not getting married? Not having kids? Or not, I don't know. Enjoy your engagement and go be happy. F that noise. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for joking that my daughter might not be mine? I know it sounds bad, but if you just let me explain the joke, I think it's pretty funny. I gave birth 6 months ago to a gorgeous baby girl. She's beautiful, the light of my life, and while she doesn't look exactly like me, I see a lot of myself in her face. If that makes sense. She's not my copy, but she's definitely mine. A blind man could see the resemblance. Meanwhile, she doesn't look anything like my husband, but she has mannerisms similar to his, and they both have a single dimple on the same cheek. Anyways, my in-laws love to tell me how she looks nothing like me. Literally every time they see her, they go on and on about how she looks just like my husband when she doesn't. So in response, I started to say, well, maybe she's not mine. They took her out of the room for an hour when she was first born. I didn't really know her yet. They could have just brought back any baby with a similar skin tone as mine, and I would probably have believed they were mine. Every time I say it, I see my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and one of my sister-in-laws, brother-in-law's wife, go dark. But they usually stop the, "You look nothing like mommy" comments. Yesterday, mother-in-law came over on her own and started up with the, "You look nothing like your mommy. You're my little princess" comments, and I said, "I keep telling y'all, she's probably not mine. I didn't know her, they probably swapped her out." My mother-in-law snapped at me to stop saying that and said she felt like I was insinuating the baby wasn't my husband's or they weren't her real family. I just shrugged and replied, "Relax. We've had her for 6 months already. I can't find the receipts anymore. We're definitely keeping her regardless." She spent the rest of the visit pretty much sulking and ignoring me before going home. But she wasn't even off my driveway before calling my husband and fake crying to him about how mean I am and how rude I was to her, and kept saying things that made her uncomfortable. Now my husband is upset that I was sassing his mother and made her cry. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP, and I love how you handled your in-laws. So they believe it's okay for them to make comments to you about how your daughter looks nothing like you, but then they call you mean when you actually agree with them. I don't know what's wrong with all their sense of humor, but I would have honestly laughed at your jokes instead of getting upset. Your in-laws and husband are the a-holes here. Your in-laws for obvious reasons, and your husband for taking his mom seriously and not doing anything when they were making those jabs at you. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I thought the joke was funny. We have a similar situation with my family. We always joke that my cousin's 9-month-old baby girl looks nothing like him, and his wife says the same thing as you do, that she was switched at birth or something along those lines. Honestly, we all just make jokes about it. It's not that big of a deal. I think your in-laws are just overly sensitive. I wouldn't worry about it. Also, the whole receipt joke was my favorite. Not the a-hole. So it's funny and cute when they say she looks nothing like you, basically saying she isn't yours. But when you jokingly agree she can't be yours, it's no longer funny. Seriously, if you've asked them to quit and they keep making these comments, feel free to continue. She's 6 months old. She has no clue what you're saying, so you aren't hurting her. If it gets people to stop saying something so hurtful, keep going. They need to quit. The joke is only funny if you're not laughing with it, is what I'm hearing here. As soon as you join in, the joke is no longer at your expense. They don't like that. Tell your husband that you're just joining in on the joke. And if his family really isn't trying to be mean, they wouldn't mind. Also, yeah, the weird claiming of "you don't look like your mommy, you're my little princess" is definitely crossing a boundary. This is a pretty common thing for mother-in-laws, and you should use any method you have to nip this attitude in the bud. Not the a-hole. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law she should be ashamed of herself and learn to be a mature adult? My brother had 2 kids with his ex by the time he was 21. He stuck around for a couple of years, but when they broke up, he left the kids too. He paid no child support, made no effort to keep in touch with the kids, did not check if they were okay, nothing. The rest of my family let the relationship drop too, but I, 38 male, was the exception. I stayed part of my niece and nephew's lives. I still have a good relationship with them today and they're close to my kids. 5 years ago, my brother got married and now he's expecting baby number 3 with his wife. After settling into family life, he started to think more about his oldest 2 and he made the decision to reach out to them. He was met with silence initially, and then after speaking to his ex, he got a brief message from his kids that they were still mad and hurt that he left. They had contact for about a month and it was sporadic. He asked if they could meet in person and the kids said no. But they said they would do a video call with him one time and that was it. This call happened 2.5 months into their reconciliation. At some point during this, he mentioned wanting them to meet his wife and other kids. They told him that was not going to happen and they didn't want to reconcile with him. My brother was surprised. He had thought that them opening up to him about being angry and hurt was a sign that they were willing to work through that. They told him it would be one thing if he hadn't settled down and started a family all over again. But the fact he did that and then reached out to them was too much for them. And they want nothing to do with the family he created now. This led to a back and forth where he said they have younger siblings and they told him very clearly they will never acknowledge or accept them as siblings and they will never accept him as their dad and he needs to move on. I spoke to my niece and nephew after the call. They reached out to me and they said it was good to close that door and to have the decision be their own. They felt like they got closure. My brother wasn't prepared for the outcome and his wife is furious that my niece and nephew rejected them for existing. She started bad-mouthing the kids at my parents' house in front of all of us. My brother told her to stop, but she told him they should be ashamed of themselves for reacting like spoiled brats who don't get their way and punishing innocent children when they're supposed to be grown adults now. I told sister-in-law she should be ashamed of herself for talking like that about the kids my brother abandoned and didn't give a second thought to, until he had settled down with her and their kids. I told her she should learn to be a mature adult and accept that his actions had consequences and this is one of them. Cue her being offended and saying I have no right to speak to her that way, and some of my family telling me I should have said nothing. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. She needs to understand that what her husband did was disgusting, and he doesn't deserve forgiveness. She is owed absolutely nothing, and you were right to shut her down. Her and her children are nothing to them, and she has no right to expect they want to embrace any of them. Good for you, not sitting by and letting her have a tantrum about a situation that doesn't revolve around sister-in-law. Not the a-hole. Your brother is a deadbeat dad who married an entitled woman. The reason for their sudden interest in reconciling with his older children is suspicious as hell. Now that they're expecting a baby, it's very likely that they just want free babysitting. Good for you, standing up for your niece and nephew. They don't owe their sperm donor a damn thing, least of all forgiveness. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law is very insensitive and is making things about her when there is so much more. Does she not care about the rights of the kids that were abandoned? Does she know the amount of pain these kids probably had to go through feeling abandoned by their father? Now she wants them to sacrifice their feelings and their decisions just to give her and her kid everything she wants. She needs to grow up. She is being ridiculous and selfish. Yikes.